like to call this meeting of the Zion City Council to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner Deteen?
Here.
Commissioner McKinney?
Here.
Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Mayor Hill?
Here. Please, Pastor Chance Springman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Let's open in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you, God, for this city. We thank you for the proceedings that are going to come today. We thank you, God, for the covering that you put on our first responders, our fire officials, and our policemen, God. We just ask for today your wisdom and your peace to cover these proceedings. We ask, God, that you would be with us and that your voice would be heard today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 4 on the agenda is agenda changes. Do any of the commissioners have any agenda changes? I would like to move item 7 up to item 4A. It's a special presentation about Zion Together. So we'll do that. It should be fairly short. And then I'm assuming that the citizens that are here for the public hearing will be here a little bit longer. So I'd like to get this taken care of first. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as changed? Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. So item 4A is a special presentation of Zion Together.
I'm going to try and play the video first on that, okay? And see how that works.
After we did this, I learned a lot more people had the same situation as I did. They have kids my age, they have people, and I didn't even know their names. One house between them since 19. Now
Sherry?
they're like growing each other's lawnmowers, and I mean it's crazy the shift that's happening.
It's a neighborhood going together.
Yes.
Doing something for somebody else, expecting.
I guess in kind of a simple way, we can learn what each of the neighbors is about.
It's kind of weird that people take the time to actually acknowledge you, you know, because everybody's rushing.
This is something that will help things going. This isn't something that's like temporary. This is something that will create long-lasting bonds, something that will make you and your neighbors closer.
I'd like to see Zion become a great little city in Illinois, setting a tone for the country that we can get together, we can have fun together. If we show each other we care a little bit, we can make a difference in what we're trying to do. And it just so happens this community does care.
People need to know that people are out there that are willing to be friendly, that are willing to help. It just takes that one person that's courageous enough to make the jump, to say, hey, what's up? It's like a conversation. Exactly.
Good evening,
Good evening,
everyone. I'm here on behalf of Zion Together, Love Thy Neighbor. I'm alone tonight, so excuse any mess-ups, please. I just came because I wanted to thank you guys for your support on our initiative. And without you guys, none of that would have been possible. I have a few requests for you. I'm asking you guys to continue to support our initiative. You guys helped us move barriers last year, and we want to have that continued support. As a change in our initiative for this year, we decided to switch it up a little bit for the participating families. We would like to give everyone in a Zion Together accredited neighborhood a street sign, much like the neighborhood watch signs, and it'll say that this neighborhood is an accredited neighborhood. I know that you guys can help me out with that. I'd like to ask for you guys to support another project that we have for the end of our initiative this year. It'll be Zion Together Day. And what that entails is it's a day for participants to be celebrated for their activism and for their participation in our events. And what that entails for you guys is we want to have a talent show at the band show. And we would also like to have tours of the fire and police departments for participating Love Thy Neighbor households. As I said before, none of this would have been possible without any of you guys, and I'd like to again thank you for all of your support. And I know that this initiative can help change Zion to be a better place, to be the place that we all want it to be, because that's our common goal, to have Zion to be a place where we can all live in peace and harmony. So, with that being said, I'll leave you guys to your important meeting. And that's all. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Do any of the commissioners have any questions?
The neighborhoods that won last year, you asked for a tour of the police and fire departments. Did you get those?
I don't think so, no. Last year we didn't have quite the turnout that we expected. So a lot of the prizes that we did have set out were too big for the amount of people that we had.
Okay.
So this year we're expecting a better turnout because, as you can see, the results are there. So we're expecting more people to participate, and we're expecting to be able to give out, those bigger prizes like the police department and the fire department. So.
Okay. Thank you.
How many signs are you talking about?
For as many neighborhoods that there are.
20 or 2,000?
Could be. Wouldn't it be awesome if it was 2,000?
Could be any.
Yeah, but it'd be expensive. Do you have any idea?
I have no idea.
Right.
Let's just say 25.
Okay. It's not an official agenda item, so we can't take any action on it tonight, but it will be placed on the April 2nd agenda when we will hopefully approve what you've asked for here. Thank you for your presentation. Item number 5 is a public hearing. Is there a motion to, or do I just declare that?
Declare the public hearing.
Public hearing is now open, and I just want to talk about a couple of things before we get started here. When you, some of you have been here for a previous meeting, and I think you talked at citizens' comments, and you were limited to 3 minutes. This is a public hearing. You will be able to speak as long as you want. I do ask that we try and keep it somewhat reasonable. I know what you have to say is very important, and we will give you as much time as you need to speak. We do ask that when you do speak that you come to the podium and you give us your name and your community of residence. And I just ask that everyone, I know this is a tough issue for all of you, and that you just go along and remember the proper decorum while you're here. This is a public meeting, and we're all neighbors, and that's all that we ask, is that there be proper decorum. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Nabel quickly, and you've got a short opening comments that you'd like to make?
Yeah, just to clarify what the purpose of this is, just as with any annexation, anyone has the right to apply to a municipality or a taxing body for annexation of property into the area. That's what happened in this case. So tonight we're considering the annexation of the property, basically pulling it in as is under current use. All the taxing bodies affected have been notified as required by law, so this is a procedural process. There will be no vote on this tonight. This is just to hear the public comments. There is also not consideration at this point for, though we're talking about it for expansion, they still have to do siting, site application, site plan. This is just to bring the property in, basically that base into Zion. So that site plan will be happening at a later date, as will any decision on the actual annexation agreement. So just wanted to provide that information to everyone as we go forward.
Right. I want to emphasize that, again, this is, all we're talking about today is the annexation. I'm not going to kid you, and I wouldn't be fooling you anyway. The understanding is that Advanced Disposal will be coming in with an application to expand the landfill. We're aware of that, and we are aware that that's part of the annexation. We won't be making any decisions on anything that has to do with the expansion, but that the first step in that process is being annexed to the city. And that's all we'll be talking about tonight. We won't be talking about dust. We won't be talking about any of the issues that you may have with an expansion. Tonight we're just going to be talking and hearing your concerns on the annexation. As Mr. Nabel stated, there won't be any votes on anything tonight. You will be speaking and we'll be listening to you. We're going to take 2 weeks to see if there are any questions that arise in our minds that we need to have answered, and I anticipate that this would be up for a vote at the April 2nd meeting also. With that, the petitioner's attorney, Mr. Jerry Callahan, is here, and I'm wondering if you want to make any comments, Mr. Callahan?
Mr. Mayor, I think the city manager stated what the issue is. It's simply the annexation. The documents, of course, say that it's in anticipation of an expansion in the future. There is no siting proposed this evening. We couldn't if we wanted to, because there's a statutory procedure under the Illinois Environmental Protection Act that has to be followed, and notices go out and they're published, and there's a statutory process we have to follow, and I can't tell you when that's going to happen. There is no application prepared at this time, I can say that much. But the first step, as you mentioned, is to get the property into the city. So with that, if there's any questions of me, I'll be happy to answer them. But
Commissioners have any questions? Okay, then I'll open it up for. Go ahead.
So, if the annexation, if it is agreed upon by the city council here,
yes,
and then you apply to expand the landfill, that landfill permit is denied by either the city or the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. Does the annexation go through, or is it rescinded?
No, the annexation is effective, but there is a provision that the property can be disconnected if it is not approved, which is another statutory process, but that's set forth in the annexation agreement.
Okay, we will hear from the people that want to speak, and what I would like to do is start here, and we'll go this way on this side of the room, and then go over to this side of the room in some type of an orderly fashion. Name and municipality of residence.
I live in Winter Harbor. Matter of fact, I live on the east side of the landfill, just off Kenosha Road. And I've read some negative comments and heard some things about, what do you expect when you buy a house next to a landfill, right? Well, I can tell you, when I bought my house 18 years ago, I wasn't experiencing the problems that I do today on a daily basis. The problems didn't start until the last expansion. All those houses that were along Kenosha Road, the landfill came in and bought them from the current homeowners at almost like $500,000 just to get the property. Then they expanded all the way to Kenosha Road, which is across the street from where I live, and they brought all that garbage this way. So I have to ask, I'm sure most of you are homeowners, right? Probably live in Zion or somewhere. So I ask you, what would happen if you emitted smell, noise, dust, garbage litter from your property onto your surrounding neighbors? What do you think would happen? Well, that's what happens to me on almost a daily basis. So, and this isn't just a seasonal thing where the warm weather makes it smell worse or the wind blows and all that. I mean, I've had it with less than 1 knot and the smell's horrible. The silt, you want to call it dirt, dust, silt, whatever it is, it's a problem. The noise is a problem all the time. And just back in January when we had the polar vortex, when it was actually minus 25, and that was the actual temperature, not the wind chill, it smelled so bad that day I could smell it in my house. Well, I made contact with the site manager, and he promptly called me back, and he was telling me they were having problems. Their vacuum pumps froze. That's their extraction system to pull the methane gas out of the ground from the decomposing garbage, and they burn it off. Well, they constantly have to adjust those things, and mind you that the methane gas is just one problem. You also have the garbage odor, 2 separate smells that are constant all the time. So, from what I understand from the site manager, who I don't want to, but end up talking to him on a daily basis, or a regular basis, I should say, so they got about 10 years left on the active cells that they're currently dumping in. And then they got another 30-plus years if the expansion is approved. And I can tell you when they did the last expansion, the dust from the construction traffic and the noise was just, it was crazy. And they were doing nothing about the dust mitigation. My whole property was covered in dust, my house, my windows, my outdoor furniture, my vehicles. I put up a pool. I couldn't keep it clean. I got a lot of stories. I have a lot of pictures. And I'm not Gladys Kravis type of looking for attention or trouble or wanting to. This is exhausting to deal with this every day. So I'd rather just mind my own business and go home and, But the problems that they create on a daily basis, it's just, it's crazy. So if this expansion is approved, I can't imagine how much worse it's going to get for how much longer for a lot more people. So just consider this. And what I'm telling you today, I'm probably not scratching the surface of what I have to deal with. So it's that bad. And they don't, nothing about it. All I get is lip service, and it's the same stuff all the time. They're doing nothing about it. It's bad. So thank you.
Can we ask other questions? Or
Sure, you can ask questions.
I just
anytime
want to
you
know, is there an offer to purchase your house from Advanced?
So what I do know is that they have purchased houses in my neighborhood. I've never been made an offer to purchase my house.
Okay.
I'll double check my doorbell to make sure it works. And I'll put a welcome mat down and I'll whatever.
Is that ADS's intent? I forgot the lawyer's name. Is that your intent?
I don't think we want to get into that, Mike. I don't think we want to get into the details. This is the siting issues that they're going to have to fight out.
Okay.
This is
and address.
for the annexation of the property. Okay.
Hi, my name's Kurt Andrews. I live in Winthrop Harbor. First off, thank you for hearing us out tonight. Appreciate it. I appreciated the presentation earlier. It really hit home. The Zion Together kind of ties in what I'm talking about, being a good neighbor. And just to start off, a little history on me. This is my wife, Julie, of 31 years. Born and raised in Winthrop Harbor. She was born and raised in Zion. Know many of you folks in different ways. Again, I'm not a Zion resident, but I am a Winthrop Harbor resident, and I am your neighbor. I've got 2 sons, went all through Zion high schools, played sports for Zion. So you see the connection. Even though we're a Harbor resident, again, we're your neighbors. Go to church in Beach Park. Been employed by Lake County Forest Preserve for 8.5 years now. I've been in this area my whole life. I live directly east of the active cell, east and just slightly south of the active cell that's currently active, and I live directly east of the next cell that's being constructed as we speak. Garbage is being dumped 800 feet from the corner of my property. Now think about that, 800 feet. This has been, we've lost value in our homes. We've lost the use of our homes. There's a value in not being able to use your home because of stink, because of silt, debris. And again, I understand this is only about annexation tonight, but this is the first step in moving forward. We all know where this is heading, so we might as well have the discussion now. To kind of touch upon some of these things, unless you live there and you experience it, you just don't get it. On a weekly basis, we have debris in our yard. We have debris in our yard right now, and even though the landfill will come pick it up, they leave debris behind. I have as much pride in my home as all you folks do. And I'm born and raised in this area. I don't want to leave. So you ask, have they ever offered to purchase our home? We weren't looking to move. We want them to be a good neighbor like we just saw on the screen. That's all we're looking for. And we can't seem to get it. We have obnoxious odors, and if they're not obnoxious by the smell themselves and the smell of the gas, it's obnoxious by the neutralizer that they spray to trick your nose into not smelling this. That's what it does. Let's wonder about how long can I keep breathing these chemicals before I don't know what's going to happen. If it's made to trick my nose so that I don't smell the odor, what's the long-term effect? I don't know. We have turkey vultures that roost on our property. You folks are welcome to come by and knock on my door. I'll go over each and every one of these problems with you before you make decisions. We've got turkey vultures that leave feces behind that you couldn't even believe. I mean, I can show it to you. I can show you pictures. We have silt that for years I could not get a picture of. My sons have left. They drive down Kenosha Road. They'll call, Dad, you got to see the silt. It's blowing. Go out there now. You take a picture. It doesn't show up very well in a picture. Finally, about 3 weeks ago, we had so much silt blowing, it landed on the snow. It was very visible to see the contrast with the snow. I finally got some good pictures. I had the manager of the landfill on my property, took him out there and walked him, asked him, can you acknowledge the silt? Yeah, I see it. No, I want you to acknowledge it. Is it there or isn't it? Yes, he acknowledged it. This is how all of these folks live on a daily basis. I get, again, the annexation is just one step in this process, but please, we are asking you folks that are in charge to really sit and listen to our problems. Put yourself in our shoes, flip the script, and ask yourself if you would take pride in your home and want to live there. I mean, it just beats you down. The anxiety over it all, you come home to it. When you leave, you know you're coming back home to it. I used to be able to leave work. I work in Lake Villa for the Lake County Forest Preserve. That's our facility there. I could see the smoke when the smokestack was going in Kenosha, and I would call home and know what I was in for when I got home by the direction of that smoke. I mean, it's not a very good way to live. I'm asking you folks to really look within yourself, be that good neighbor we just heard about from that nice young man. Take time and really consider us and think about it when you're making your decisions for this landfill. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, how are you? Long time no see.
I'm doing great.
I haven't seen him since we were in a deposition together. I'm John Risvold. I'm an attorney for all these fine people here. Some of the best people I've ever met in my life. And I'm here to ask you as the city of Zion to do something for those people, and it's what you didn't do last time, and it's protect them. If you want to annex this land, you want to expand that landfill, that's fine, but you need to require that Advanced Disposal do the things it's refusing to do to protect the people of Winthrop Harbor and Zion. These people can talk to you all day about problems, gas odors, gas problems, garbage odors, trash in their yard, bird feces, animal feces, etc. Would you want to live that way? Would that be something that would be acceptable to you if your neighbor was doing that? And if you had power to protect people, would you use that power to protect people, or would you just let this company come in and operate as they see fit with utter disregard for their neighbors? The city receives a sizable amount of money in tipping fees. Require that the landfill pay these people tipping fees if they're going to expand. Make that a condition of annexation and a condition of expansion. Make them berm along Kenosha Road. They can build berms and walls that will protect these people, but they refuse to do it because it costs money. And they don't want to spend the money. Require it. If you're going to let this happen, which we all know you are, because it's happened every time they've applied, if you're going to annex the land, you're going to let them recklessly operate, make them protect people. You have power to do that. And you have an obligation, a moral obligation to your neighbors to protect them. Now, I know, for instance, Mayor Hill, I know you know a lot of the people in the audience. I know you know them on a personal basis. I know you're friendly with a lot of them. They are your friends. They're your neighbors. You have an obligation to protect them. I know you know that. I know you're a good man. Think about that when we're going through this process. We all kind of know how the finances shake out, where the money kind of needs to come from. But Advanced Disposal is a billion-dollar company, publicly traded billion-dollar company. They have the means to make this happen. If they don't, that site and this city will continue to be the subject of a lot of litigation. I'm a real young guy. I got a lot of energy and a lot of time. And I don't care how many juries pour me out in Lake County. I'll fight to the mat for every single person in this room until they're protected, and you should do the same. That's all I ask.
Is there anything else besides tipping fees and creating berms?
You know what? I've got a 200-page report from an expert in Florida I can give you, and he can give you hundreds of ideas. If you need an example, there's a landfill in Will County. It's about 2 miles from my home. Never had any issues with it because they operated properly and they protected the neighbors. There's another one, 2 or 3 more in the area. I can give you hundreds of pages of reports that you can use to protect.
Well, I'd like to know what our neighbors would like. So, besides tipping fees and berms, if you create a list,
sure,
I'd like to see it.
Happy to. I know they'd like to avoid further litigation. I would hope Advanced Disposal would, but that's where this is headed. Thanks, guys.
Hi, I'm Sonia Peter, scoop writer. I have been a lifelong resident of Zion, and I have owned a home on Kenosha Road for 30 years. I've raised 5 children there. 4 are serving our country, or have, and still are. 1 is. And I'm in a little bit different position than these guys. Not that I agree with everything they're saying. My property backs up to the landfill. So 12 years ago, they purchased 7 homes for $450,000 each. They allowed each person the opportunity to live in that home for $1 a year for the next 2 years, which would calculate to somewhere around $500,000. And now they have 5 homes left. My house isn't 800 feet from the property. My home right now is 30 feet away from where they're directly drilling. And so I am at a point where I'm ready to sell. And have they come to me to purchase me? Sure, for a lowball price. Not a price that's acceptable, not the price they gave people 12 years ago. Again, not being upstanding, not being community people, and they don't acknowledge the smells, the debris, the noise, the health risks that are involved. My home isn't across the street from it. My home is directly adjacent to where they're drilling and what they're doing. And so I can only imagine what kind of health risks are involved with that. They come in with a bullying tactic too, not just hi, how are you? We want to buy your house. My husband worked for Advanced Disposal. They called me when he lost his job, and said, oh, hey, we want to buy your property. I said, you can pound sand, you know. You want to buy my property because you want to come in and steal, and that's what they did. They came in the area and they started buying up houses during the recession for people that had lost their jobs. Again, taking advantage of the community. They're not doing the right thing by the people in the community. And we all know that there's a vested interest for the city of Zion, and it could help. But again, compensate everybody in the room, and myself included. You know, I speak for other people, the 5 of us that own properties. They're not, one gentleman and I are working together, Kel Schneider, and he is not able to be here tonight. And anyhow, in closing, I guess I would just say to pause and think about it, and before you make before you give them the opportunity to expand, make them do the right thing by the people in the community. They're not going to do it on their own. They're not going to do it on their own. So that's it.
Anybody else on this side of the room?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Burnett. My husband Danny and I live in Winthrop Harbor, and we live in North Prairie Estates. And rather than just reiterate all the ill effects of the landfill that we and all our neighbors have been putting up with over the last several years, I would come to you with the perspective that Danny and I were probably the only people in this room, I think, that were at the last expansion hearings.
I was there.
You were there. Good. Okay. Didn't count you. But promises were made. A pretty picture was painted. But I can tell you that everything that was told to us, the exact opposite has occurred. All the ill effects of the landfill have exponentially increased since that expansion was put through. We were told during those public hearings, came right out of Jim Lewis's mouth, the manager of the landfill, that if all operations are working efficiently, there should be no odors. I don't think there's a single person behind me that hasn't smelled those odors multiple times. Last night, I got up in the middle of the night last night, and there were odors in my house, and it's a unique, that gas, garbagey smell, it's unique. We know what it is. It comes into your house, because most of our homes are not airtight. Homes aren't built that way. So we get it, comes right into the house. It can do that on a calm night. So how do you like that? I don't even have to go out in my yard to put up with this. And, you know, a lot of people will say to us, well, what were you doing? Why did you buy near a landfill? That's what a lot of people point the finger. I didn't buy across the street from a landfill. The landfill in 1989, when we built our house, was way over on Green Bay Road. At the time we talked to Winthrop Harbor about our plat survey, they said the landfill was closed. They had reached garbage capacity. And in 1989, landfill's closed. They start siphoning off the gas, and they move somewhere else and dig. But no, they did something that none of us could have fathomed. They started buying up property, private property all around them, and expanded. And there were problems. There were smells and problems from time to time, but nothing like what we have endured since that last expansion. So in May of 2010, you know, we were told it's all good. We will not impact your properties. We won't impact your property value or your enjoyment of your property. None of that will happen. And that was not true. And I whether or not they knew that when they told us that, I'm pretty sure they did know that. So, this can happen to anybody. They can just move right in next door to you, right across the street, which I don't think ever should have been done. There shouldn't be a landfill that close to residential areas, but that landfill has ruined a sweet little neighborhood. Those were nice little homes, even there along Kenosha Road. Sweet little homes with stands of mature trees, and for this last expansion, those were all knocked down, replaced with an ugly, ineffective, unkempt berm surrounded with chain link fence. So attractive. And when I say ineffective, that berm is ineffective. They put neutralizers on it after a while because of its ineffectiveness, and I think Kurt addressed that. The neutralizer, for a lot of us, is worse than the garbage odors. So that didn't work. So they pretty much ruined the neighborhood, ruined our enjoyment of our homes. I didn't ask for that landfill to come to me, but they did come to me. And so here we are. And Zion, I feel like, was complicit in 2010 when they let that go through. And I really hope you guys will do the right thing this time and will not let something like that happen. We were railroaded. I mean, we just really were. It was like, it'll be fine, pat on the hand, be on your way. And it's been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare, on the backs of hardworking people who made their home in that neighborhood over the years. It's really sad. And I hope you guys are really listening. But, you know, you haven't heard the last of us. We'll be here for my husband and I have been here for all of them. And we'll be here for these too. The siting approval, all of it. But thank you for your time tonight.
Good evening. My name's Carrie Johnson. I'm here with my husband, Randy Johnson. We're Winthrop Harbor residents. We've been here now going on 14 years. I'm going to talk about hope and belief. I'll start with belief. I believe that the folks who spoke before me believed what you told them initially about caring about the impact to the community and how it would not harm us. They were sadly disappointed. I believe that all of the concerns that were raised over the years about the smell, noise, vermin, trash, loss of value have all come true. Nothing changes. We get emails acknowledging our complaints, and it continues. I took the day off today. I spent some time in my yard, and I went for a walk. One would believe this would be relaxing. First, when I left the house, it reeked of rotten garbage. Yesterday at 8 a.m., noon, it reeked of methane gas. Last night at 8 o'clock, it reeked of rotten garbage. I send emails, I get acknowledgments, nothing changes. Second, I picked up the trash in my yard. This is one day's glowing light trash that gets stuck in the bushes and trees. You can look at it if you want, but I don't recommend it. Then I took a walk. I filled this bag. Just walking on my street and along 5th Street. I walked out the door, turned right, walked to 5th Street, Kenosha Road, and back, and picked that up. My walk ended with a woman stopping me on the street to say that she had just moved in last summer and could not believe that the dump was so awful, and she wondered if she should carry a bag on her walks to pick up garbage too. Who lives like this? We do, every day. I believe I was here last summer, and I addressed this council, and you had expressed some surprise at the issues we raised. Well, here we are. I believe that the annexation was postponed until everyone thought it was safe. The first lawsuit didn't go through, and now the plans are proceeding along. I believe that my family and I have experienced awful things living near this dump. It's impacted our lives, and the financial impact to my home's value will never recover. I believe the amount of money to be made for advanced disposal in the next 30 to 40 years is astronomical. I believe that the City of Zion, Illinois EPA, Lake County Health Department are so financially dependent on a business that they're supposed to regulate and do not adequately do so, despite numerous complaints, will never say no to the expansion. I believe that coming here will not change any of your minds. You will continue to consciously disregard the damage that's been done and continue to do so. There is just too much money to be made to worry about us. So after all that, what could I possibly hope for? I hope by continuing to share our story with anyone who will listen, someday someone will be held accountable to the damage that's been done and the damage that will continue to happen if this expansion goes through. Thank you.
Anybody else over here up front?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Council. My name is Bill Tesson. I live on Kenosha Road, unincorporated, Lake County, with a Zion mailing address. I've been there for 28 years. Around 2006 to 2008, the landfill purchased Bergman's Nursery, which I believe was a Winthrop Harbor zoning, and 7 to 9 homes along Kenosha Road that were unincorporated Lake County. The landfill did all this in the dark of the night, so to speak, because we were hoodwinked when this all went down. Totally hoodwinked. Over 90% of the residents in the area were not aware of this. And that's a number that's general, so don't hold me to it. Could be greater, could be less. But I think I'm pretty close. And residents were not aware of this. They were also not aware that the city of Zion passed annexation into the city for those properties. There were no public notice to the neighbors.
Excuse me, could you say that again?
There were no...
No. That Zion did what?
Zion annexed in the Bergman Nursery and them homes. Excuse me, I'm very nervous.
Oh, no.
I'm very upset. I've never spoken in front of anybody before.
Yeah, and I would just tell you, relax. You know, you're among friends.
Well,
and I just want to know which properties you were talking. You were talking about Bergman's property. You weren't talking about the homes along Kenosha Road.
That's correct.
They were annexed?
They were all Lake County homes. They were unincorporated.
Some of them were annexed, Mr. Mayor. Some of them were. Some of them remain unincorporated, but owned by Advanced.
Okay, that's why I was just getting confused.
Okay.
Right. You were talking about the Bergman property, though.
Bergman and continuing north on Kenosha Road.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, John.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you for your help.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, quite all right. Thank you for your time. There were no public notifications of signs or anything. This type of annexation was going to happen. I drive down the road in Lake County, you'll see signs. Development. Might be a strip mall, whatever. There's signs. Usually there's notification. Somebody said, did you read it in the paper? I don't get the paper. Do you read it on your email? I don't have email. I live where I live because I like the simple life and I like where I'm at. So, being a good neighbor, going back to that. The annexation to the landfill. All its residents have had to deal with garbage odor, methane gas odor, dust, noise, 12 hours a day, debris in our yards. We are not able to use our yards or any outdoor living space with comfort. There are times I can't even cut my grass, which takes 3 hours to do because the odor is so bad. So if I want to cut my grass on a Saturday and go Sunday and take the day off, I can't do that because it impacts my life and all these other people's lives the same way. We have to keep our windows closed all year round for fear of if the wind changes or when the smell is. We're on a 24-hour monitor. We're on eggs all the time. We never know what we're going to come home to. All these issues we have to suffer through the past 10 or 12 years were only possible because the city of Zion allowed that annexation back in 06 or 08 or whenever that was. All of these issues that we're dealing with were only possible by whoever was in here that voted it. And Mr. Mayor, I think you said that you were there at the last, you were involved?
I was in the audience.
Okay, thank you.
I wasn't up here.
Okay, well, I don't follow politics, but, I stand up for what I feel is right. That landfill has not complied with several zoning requirements, that annexation and expansion. There have been hundreds of calls to the landfill and Lake County Health Department about complaints. The landfill has not performed to any of the standards of the so-called permitting requirements that they're supposed to go through. So we are asking you to not allow the annexation of the Weiler property. If allowed, we will have to endure these same issues for the next 30 plus more years. We have not received any support about these issues from the city. I called in complaints to Lake County Health Department today about dust blowing across Kenosha Road. So, in closing, Mr. Mayor and the City Council, We are all asking you to not make the same uneducated and silly mistake that the last mayor made. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, my name is Pete Vega. I'm one of the 5 houses on the west side of Kenosha Road. I've been living there for 23 plus years. I had no idea that they were going to do this. My back of my yard was beautiful. It was a nursery back there with wildlife. There's actually lakes back there. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of property back there. There's wetlands. Has anybody considered what's going to happen to all that wildlife back there? In California, they stop expansions because of minnows. So has anybody taken into account that stuff? What about my well? Has anybody thought about the water table? They made an offer to me where they could withdraw the offer at any time. And I'm supposed to sign that? That's all I have to say.
Anyone else?
I don't know how I'm going to get up there, man. I'd be allowed to speak from back here, sir?
Sure, go ahead. You're plenty loud.
Thank you. I am W.C. Brenner from Zion. Listening to these good people here, I have several questions. Obviously, this involves the garbage dump up on Kenosha Road. How large a parcel of land is being talked about here?
I believe it's 100 acres.
110 acres.
110 acres.
And this will be annexed from whom? From Lake County or Newport Township or who?
It's in unincorporated Lake County right now.
And Benton Township.
In Benton Township.
Does Lake County have to agree to the annexation?
No.
And third, if the annexation is passed in future meetings, what kind of control will Zion, you all, be able to put on the land to alleviate some of these problems?
That's a $64,000 question, isn't it? I think what I don't have a direct answer for you right now. We have a part of the law firm that we employ. It's Ansel Glink, and there's a gentleman who specializes in landfills, and he will be working with the city council when it comes to siting, if it gets to that point. And he's an expert at it, so I can't answer that. I'm not an expert on landfills. I don't know what could possibly be done to mitigate some of the things that you're talking about. But I think that he would be able to help us out.
Thank you. Permission to stand down, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm Larry Booth. I'm the Benton Township Supervisor. And our issues, strictly from the township point of view, are way in back of what these residents have to live with every day. But being charged with the financial well-being of Benton Township, this is a substantial piece of property, and for loss of potential revenue for the township, we obviously have our concerns as well, and hopefully some conversation or a challenge from Benton Township as well. So, thank you.
So, hello, and I'm Amy Onan. I live at 42540 North Kenosha. And my husband and I bought the property in 2008, unaware that there was a huge dump behind us. So on our end, we should have done more research. But first, I want to thank you for showing that video clip, because I didn't plan to speak. I know a few neighbors here. I just wanted to listen, because my husband has become semi-involved. He's attended some of the meetings. But I think civic duty is what put me up here in Zion Togetherness. So 2008, we bought our home, and I live in the old schoolhouse on the corner, and it is beautiful. And I don't want to. I work for Sherry Neal, so if I cry, sorry. But our property is gorgeous. Don't tell her I said that. She's good. Our property is gorgeous, and our land, we've been complimented how that corner has cleaned up since we bought the property. And to know that this is going on and just so disturbing to our neighbors, and it's not just Winthrop Harbor, you know, the whole area that has the water holding there is affected. That's all Zion. So I just wanted to kind of come up and speak on behalf of our neighbors that this is an issue, and maybe you should take more responsibility, be respectful. What are the words that we encompass here in this community? There's more. The character counts are words that we strive by. I think that maybe you should look at that and take that into consideration. And since 2008, I'll say as an individual, I've become very involved in this community and very passionate about it. I am on the Zion Library Board and currently now work for Zion Township. So I think that maybe there's other resources that some of the community needs to tap into. But I just wanted to speak on behalf of the neighbors and hope that you take into consideration your next steps. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Mr. Callahan, do you have anything you'd want to say?
No, I don't. Any questions from the commissioners?
Any questions from the commissioners? I declare the public hearing closed. And like I said, this will be, the annexation itself will be on the agenda April 2nd. That's election night. So more than, I shouldn't have to welcome you because you're going to be here anyway. Doesn't I get that. But anyway, we'll take a 2-minute break. For those of you that want to leave, you can leave. And those of you that want to stay, you're welcome to stay, but I just want to take a break and allow you to leave. And I would ask that we will continue the meeting, so if you do meet in the lobby and you're talking back there, please keep the tone down so that we can hear what's going on in here. So thank you for coming out, and appreciate your comments.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, yeah. I got it. Bus driver and health. Yeah, I got it. Bus driver.
I thought you had them. Okay, then I'll just make sure that, final copies. Okay. No problem. I'm going to follow up with him tomorrow, obviously.
Excellent.
Good seeing you.
Is that yours? Huh? I've been okay. Yeah. How are you doing? Yeah. I was down there for about 3 weeks. What a mess. I know. Yeah, I know. There's a lot on the table for everyone. What's that? Sure. I know how to get them over the right. Thank you. I got you and Joe. I want to call the meeting back to order.
Citizen comment? Sure. Right?
I got your message. 1:30 good.
Hey, Mr. McKee.
This is
My parents, Ramona and Dudley.
Maybe.
Cooper.
I'm sorry?
Ramona and Dudley Cooper.
Yeah.
I'm their son.
Good to that's smart.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you.
Item number 5 on the agenda, or excuse me, item number 6 on the agenda is citizens' comments. I've got some names here. Does anybody wish to speak? I think most of these people have already spoken. Does anybody wish to speak at the citizens' comments? Okay. Item number 8 is a consent agenda. Would the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Approval of minutes of a regular meeting held on March 5th, 2019 at 7 p.m. Bills, vouchers 131555 through 131632, drawn on Huntington National Bank, total $324,184.27.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? A motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 9 is consider passing resolutions as follows. 9A is maintenance of streets and highways by municipality under Illinois Highway Code regarding road salt per Director Roberts.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Attached is a maintenance resolution the city is required to file with IDOT for our estimated cost for routine maintenance items using motor fuel tax funds. This resolution must be passed by the City Council to utilize MFT funds for the purchase of road salt for the next winter. The estimated cost of $150,000 is for road salt and has been budgeted for within the MFT account. Staff is requesting the approval of this resolution.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll move to approve this IDOT resolution to purchase $150,000 from MFT funds for road salt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9B is maintenance of streets and highways by municipality under Illinois Highway Code regarding MFT funds for the 2019 street patching program per Director Roberts.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Attached is a maintenance resolution the city is required to file with the IDOT for our estimated cost for routine maintenance items using the motor fuel tax fund. The estimated cost of $150,000 is for street maintenance, which has been budgeted for within the MFT account. Staff is requesting the approval of this resolution.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll move to approve this IDOT resolution for the fiscal year 2019 street patching program in the amount of $150,000.
We have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Yep.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9C is temporary road closure for Nostalgia Days for Chief Dumian.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I respectfully request the City Council approve the attached resolution granting permission to close Sheridan Road on Saturday, June 15, 2019, between 25th Street and 31st Street for a period from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and between 21st Street and 25th Street from a period of 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is our annual road closing for the Nostalgia Days, and it's required for us to apply for the permit from IDOT.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Is there a discussion? I've got I guess it's somewhat related to this. It doesn't have to do with the road closing, but we need to figure out a final budget because I have been fielding questions from people regarding Nostalgia Days and Jubilee Days when we cut a significant amount of money. I believe it was $40,000. And I believe it was all for police overtime. I find it extraordinary. Okay. Well, anyway, we cut a large amount of money, and we haven't voted on a budget. So we need to get to a final budget so those people can be told you're either going to get that money or you're not going to get it. And so we need to get after that and figure it out. Item 9C, we have a motion.
Wait.
We have a motion and a second. Yeah. 9C. Yes, 9C. Nancy. We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 10 is consider passing ordinance as follows. 10A is to enter into First Amendment to the land purchase agreement for certain property located in the city of Zion for property commonly known as NWC of Sheridan Road in northwest corner of Sheridan Road and 34th Street for Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. This is the old Dunes property and the True Lumber property. Speedway is looking at that property for development, and their initial due diligence period is set to expire March 23rd. They're asking for an additional 180 days to continue their due diligence period, their financial pro formas, and basically their process to go to corporate. And they just wanted to get that extended so they can continue their process moving forward on that property. And I'd recommend approval of the extension.
Is there a motion? So moved. A motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 11 is discussion authorization of approval. 11A is request permission to accept proposal of Insurance Agency for the renewal of health, dental, and life insurance effective May 1, 2019 for Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. You have before you a renewal package from Assurance, who are our brokers that go out to market for us every year, get quotes on health, dental, life insurance. I know I'm going to test your eyes in looking at this because there's a lot of information there. The first page you have is a 2018 review, which was last year's. We switched from a self-insured to a fully insured, basically saying we're not paying all the claims anymore. We're getting insured by Blue Cross. In doing that, our costs went up 13% last year. So there was a big hit in doing that. The 2019 renewal summary page 2 on your packet, shows the 2019 renewal. Originally, they came back with a 1.93% increase. The industry trend is about 6%, so we're well below even the industry trend. A big portion of that was we did carve out the fire department into a pool, an HSA pool plan, so a lot of the risk that went with that body basically saved us from increased costs on this. Now, they were also able, our brokers went back to them, and due to Blue Cross's partnership with Dearborn Life, they said if you switch to Dearborn Life for your coverage, we can do an additional 1% off of your medical. Assurance actually negotiated a little bit more with them, and you'll actually see the revised renewal is a 1.12% decrease in health insurance costs from last year. So that's much better than the industry average. Again, we're looking at line 2 of page 2. We did decrease in what's considered a middle market segment because we don't have over 100 bodies on the plan anymore. So that's part of the structuring reorganization as well. You can also see on dental, Guardian is showing about a 1.69% increase for our dental. Again, dental is a pretty small piece of our total cost, so that's not going to have a significant impact. We did get quotes from some other places as well. And then on advanced life and advanced disability, we had a renewal of 21% increase, which we said we're not going to go because, again, Dearborn provided us a better rate, and we got the benefit of additional medical as a result. So going to the next page, you can actually see it shows what's in force and what the renewal. Basically, the next 2 pages, pages 3 and 4, you have the first columns being what we have currently, the second columns being what they originally proposed as a renewal. Then on the next page, you have a revised renewal with Dearborn's discount, and then a revised renewal after Assurance negotiated it down further. So really what we're looking at, if you want to compare apples to apples, is the first 2 columns that say in force, and the last part of the next page that says revised renewal alternative with 1% Dearborn Life discount. So if you're comparing, you can actually see that the deductible of $500 and $1,000 for individual and family went down to $250 and $750. We actually reduced the deductible on that. The co-insurance is going from $90.70 to $80.60, but the individual out-of-pockets actually are going down. And again, this is a lot of insurance talk here, but the individual out-of-pocket was $1,000 and the family out-of-pocket was $2,000, but then you also had a prescription, a separate out-of-pocket maximum for individual of $1,000 and family of $2,000. So you had, what we had in force was an out-of-pocket maximum individual and prescription of $2,000, $4,000. That's now on the renewal at $1,250 and $37.50. So we're trying to negotiate better terms because a lot of the provisions that we had in union contracts and also our employee manual, they just don't write plans with those provisions anymore. So we actually erred towards making the plan a little better than the initial revised renewal saying deductibles were going to go up. So we had to kind of do a little blended plan to make this work. You can see that the rate equivalence on the bottom, if you look at the health section, we have employee plus spouse, employee plus children, and family. The employee currently, employee is $1,035 a month, employee plus spouse is $1,828 a month, and family is $2,666 a month. If you go to the revised renewal, you'll see that employees goes from $1,035 to $840. Employee plus spouse goes from $1,828 to $1,846. Not a major change there. You have employee plus child, which was $1,828 to $1,873, and then families going from $2,666 to $2,879. So that reflects some increases and decreases in categories. But overall, we're actually saving money on this plan by carving out the fire and by going to Dearborn for life and the negotiation on behalf of assurance. So that's a lot of information to throw at you to basically say I would recommend the proposal of assurance to renew the health insurance with Blue Cross Blue Shield, stay with Guardian on the dental, and move the life and AD&D to Dearborn as presented. And I'm sure there's questions. Maybe.
Well, just, we're in the middle of some negotiations right now. What impact does accepting this revised insurance with Blue Cross Blue Shield have with those negotiations?
I don't think it'll have, we still have to run it by them because the contracts specifically have deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance amounts. Yeah. I anticipated that was going to, if we approved what was initially proposed, we would have had some problems because it was increasing deductibles, it was increasing out-of-pockets. That's why I went back and got actually a revised renewal that decreases those. The co-insurance does change a little bit, but the maximum amount of pocket goes down, so their exposure is still mitigated, so to speak. So I tried to err on behalf of the employees for the negotiations while also still getting the savings. We kind of picked and chose what was important to us, which actually slightly improved our quote from the insurance standpoint.
Thanks.
David, I'm interested in finding out if there's what can we do to get out of some of this?
We and the rest of the country.
No, but we're locked into contracts that were approved a long time ago. A long time ago, plans were rich. Plans aren't rich like this anymore. This is when you're talking about $250 and $500 deductibles. Is that what you said?
Yes.
That's unheard of. Mm-hmm. Some people have $3,000 to $5,000 deductibles. And
$250 is $750. Okay. Sorry.
I guess my question is, how do we get out of this? How do we get out of these contracts somehow?
They have to be negotiated with the unions because it's part of the union contract.
I know that, but how do we negotiate with the unions to get out of this? I can't. Again, this is one of those things that's not sustainable anymore. it's $3,000 a month for family insurance. So you don't know?
I don't have an answer
Answer your question.
other than present proposals to the unions.
I know.
I mean, people have attended a lot of people here.
We don't have a lot of leverage.
They've attended our budget workshops, and we are asking a lot of concessions currently from the unions.
And we're not getting
to pay more to insurance and everything. So
right, I guess we are getting it from some.
Right. So majority of the unions are going along with that, whether it be furloughs, concessions, additional pay on their insurance. So asking currently to also change insurance in the contract to allow lesser benefits. When we're asking for help out of our current financial situation, probably isn't the best time.
No, I know, and I think
it's a tough balance.
I just need to vent that when things are going really well with the city, everybody wants to provide the best benefits and nice things for their employees because the employees have done such a great job. But when things aren't going so good for the city, we can't quite ever get a give back. And I find that very, very frustrating that we're locked into some of these benefits in a contract that are just, they're unheard of anymore.
I understand.
So all right, I'm done venting. Is there a motion to approve the renewal of health, dental, and life insurance with the proposal that Mr. Nabels presented?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 11B is consider appointment of city treasurer per Mayor Hill. As most of you are aware, our city treasurer, Jim Cooler, passed away, and we have to have a city treasurer in order to sign checks. So I'm recommending that you have his resume in front of you. It's Eric Edward Bradley. He is the finance director for the Zion Park District, understands municipal financing. He is a CPA, and I would like to recommend him with your approval as the treasurer for the city, effective tonight, because we have to get checks out tomorrow.
I move that we accept your recommendation for that position.
We have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 12 is departmental commentary. Do any of the department heads have anything they'd like to report?
I do, Mayor. I'd like to make an announcement that the leaf pickup is going to start April 1st, run for 2 weeks to April 13th. Additional with that, Advance will start their yard waste pickup April 1st and run that through November 30th.
I would also like to bring up the fact that it's my understanding that there was a gentleman here at the last council meeting complaining about rodents in his basement and basically, I think, laying it on the building department for not getting a response. And I would like to ask Director Ianson to update us on what you did find when you went to that property.
When I did my initial inspection after meeting with them that night, we found that there was a food pantry in the basement with a lot of dry goods for a food source for the mice. So until that food source was taken out of there, that was continuing to be a problem. We had a little resistance, but we have since made progress. We're doing a reinspection tomorrow. I'll have a better update tomorrow once I get a better look at what the situation is.
So if I understand this correctly, the gentleman came here to complain about the city. The city said you need to get this stuff out of here, and he was resisting that?
Initially, yes.
Okay. I just want to make that clear, that often there are two sides of a story when somebody comes to speak in front of the public and or at a public meeting, and I thought that what I saw, that it was not fair, what was said at that meeting. So,
Mayor Hill, I'd like to make one last announcement. Vehicle stickers are currently set to expire April 30th of this year. The new stickers will go on sale April 1st. It's a 2-year sticker effective May 1st of 19 through April 30th of 2021. For most residences per vehicle, that's $50 for a 2-year sticker. And please make sure to get those revised or re-upped before May 1st.
Dave, there was a question in the audience, or is there specifics for seniors on the city stickers?
But my question is, for many years I bought my city sticker right on time, and I wonder what the percentages of Zion residents that actually buy city stickers are. And there used to be a pretty effective enforcement tool that the Zion police used to use back in the day. They used to stand on the corner of 27th and Emmaus and 27th and Gabriel and other places in town, and they looked for people driving through. And Billy, you probably saw this in your day too when you were growing up. And they wrote people up that didn't have city stickers. And I actually wonder what the percentage of people that live in this town actually are that buy the city sticker.
I'll get that for you.
That's
I don't have it. We don't.
I'm thinking it's way less than 50%, and I think.
And there still is quite a bit of enforcement on it.
But it's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be. That's all I'm saying.
I will add that enforcement that you're talking about would be illegal today.
You're probably exactly right. And you're probably exactly right in the world we live in now. But they used to stand right on the corner.
I know.
Okay.
I used to.
They used to.
33 years ago.
Yeah. No, I remember.
It bothers me.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I pay my stuff. I buy my stuff.
I do too.
Mayor Hill, there was also a question about prices for seniors and city stickers.
I believe if you're 65 and over, it's $1. You get one sticker for $1, and 70 and over, I believe it's free. One sticker is free. I'd have to confirm that for sure. I believe that's the case, though.
It was my understanding there were some changes in the city sticker policy that we were considering with families with multi-cars.
There is. We've got to do some more research on that, though. There was a lot more change to the code that was going to be necessary, as well as some other pros and cons that we had to look at that we weren't able to look at before basically the current ones would expire.
Okay.
But it's still on the. We've got some drafted language, and we're still working on that.
Okay. And I think the other thing too is we've always talked about what we talk about in city council meetings is making sure that the information is disseminated to the seniors so that they understand it. As soon as those policies are updated, which we always do, we make sure we get something out.
Yeah, now that we have the paper again, we have space in there, which is where a lot of the seniors receive their information. We'll get it on Facebook, as well as put it on water bills and basically wherever we can get it.
Yeah, and my last comment is my understanding when talking to citizens when we were having the discussion about city stickers was they were thinking that the $50 was for a year instead of the 2-year period.
It's a 2-year period.
And what you just talked about.
25 a year.
Okay. Yeah, I think
but they're sold once. So.
Yep, needs to be clarified. Okay.
Just got a question. What if you're 60?
You're 65.
We will accept your $50.
But if you're 55, we'll accept your $50.
As they say, be careful about wishing your life away.
Yes, sir.
Can you actually get a ticket for not having a city sticker?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yep.
And they're a lot more expensive than the city sticker. Okay, announcements. March 18th through the 30th, it's early voting at Zion City Hall, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. April 2nd is Election Day, and at 7 o'clock there'll be a Zion City Council meeting. April 9th is 6 p.m. It's a Zion Township Annual Town Meeting. April 16th at 6:15, Zion Township Board Meeting. April 16th at 7 p.m. is the Zion City Council meetings. April 19th, the city offices will be closed for a holiday. Item number 14 is a closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, open meetings for the discussion of collective bargaining and personnel. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there a discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye.
I was getting ready to leave already.